Warning. The language used on The Real Rush may be offensive to some viewers. Don't say I didn't fucking warn you.
Hey yo, it's Employee Appreciation Day, and since I'm my own employee, that means that I'm up here at the Angelica appreciating my damn self! Bang your head to the opening riff, son!
Shut up and sit down.
What's happening, y'all? It's your boy J-Dub here, and welcome to episode 76 of The Real Rush right here on YouTube. And what your boy stated at pretty much the very end of episode 75 last week, your boy stated, and I quote, that we was going to have a full movie review show planned out for y'all for episode 76 right now, unless, and I quote myself, the shit just all of a sudden blows up like it usually likes to do. And that's exactly what the fuck it did. It ballooned up, pun totally intended, and you'll see why that pun is totally intended here in a few movie reviews in just a few short moments, well, in a few moments. But nevertheless, we came up from a 4-movie weekend to that of a 6-movie weekend. So while it's not a substantial blow up, that does leave quite a bit of ground for your boy to cover here on this week's episode. So let's go ahead and get on down to the brass tacks of what is on the ticket for episode 76. Now, onward. You would not be wrong in stating the fact that yes, that was, or is still, a new release for this current weekend. However, if you tuned into episode 75 last weekend, then you would already know that not only did your boy already see it in an advanced screening, but we already dropped the Real Rush review for Onward in episode 75. So if you're looking for the review for Onward, you just gotta flip back to episode 75. And then the rest of this week's new releases that you'd be interested about will be waiting for you right here in episode 76. So let's go ahead and get on down to the remainder of this week's new releases. We moving onward, and I want to kick things off with the new Ben Affleck sports drama. Been highly anticipating this one with every single trailer view ever since the trailer premiered in theaters late November, early December this past year. And I am talking about the new joint called The Way Back. And this reunites Ben Affleck with the accountant director Gavin O'Connor. And this tells the tale of Affleck, whose character is an alcoholic former high school basketball all-star who was asked some 20-25 years later to come back and coach his alma mater's now failing team. The team ain't been doing well ever since he played so many years ago. And this tells a story of not how he's trying to change their losing ways on the basketball court, you know, their tale of redemption, but also how his tale of redemption comes into play as well as he tries to get a hold of his life and turn that back around for the better. Brilliant. This is not your average run-of-the-mill sports drama and or tale of redemption at that, ladies and gents. You got Ben Affleck up in it, and people still be ragging on the man. Y'all gotta get over the fact that Geely was almost 20 years ago. I think the man has pretty much redeemed himself from some of the not so great roles that he took on earlier in his career. Affleck is steady holding it down, man. And if anybody knows about the man's personal struggles that he's actually had in life with the drink, you can see, and I can personally identify with that myself. As some of y'all may know, as I stated on the show a few times, your boy has been alcohol free here for just over 8 years. Did I like to drink? Yes. Would I consider myself an alcoholic? Not necessarily. But that's a long story for a different show at a different time. I could personally identify with the reasons behind why Ben Affleck's character was driven to drink. But not only that, but you could see that the man did some good, deep soul searching, so that way he could do that, bring that inner character, his own inner demons, to the screen without actually having to touch the drink itself. And the man does a fantabulous job of doing that. Will The Way Back make you cry? Absolutely. It wouldn't be a great sports drama if it didn't make it do so. Is it one of the best sports dramas of all time? I wouldn't necessarily call it one of the best, but it is pretty damn good, y'all. The Way Back. It's playing everywhere. Go check it out, y'all. A lot of tears were shed this weekend. Let's keep on rolling on to what's next on this week's episode, Real Rush Ticket. And this next movie here is a reimagining of the classic Peter Pan tale. This joint is called Wendy. A reimagining, once again, of the Peter Pan tale, but updated for modern times and centraling upon the character of Wendy. And that's about all I can say about this movie without giving anything else away. That's it. Let's get on down to why this movie right here just became one of this year's instant best films. Didn't see that one coming, especially since I was walking into the Angelica on Friday and being told that so far this movie ain't hitting. It ain't hitting. Everybody who had seen it up to that point was not really feeling it. And I walked out of it saying, well, what movie were they watching? Because I just saw one of this year's best films. It's magical. It's magical as shit. Wendy, and once again, not without giving too much away here, does a terrific job of speaking bounds about the balance between one's own inner child and the struggles, maybe not so much struggles, of growing up, maturing, for lack of a better term. Outstanding performances all the way by the child actors themselves. I like the way that it was filmed. It was filmed with this type of grit, this type of ruggedness that I don't think you've seen in a Peter Pan adaptation before. Now, it is very important to state that this is PG-13. Don't let the fact that this is a reimagination of the Peter Pan tale fool you into thinking that it should be okay for the little ones. Now, while I did remark that I would probably say that it was okay for ages 10 and above, I said this on Friday after a little bit more reviewing of the call on the field. I kind of have to reverse that, and I would have to say that there is one scene in particular that makes this stick out as straight up a reason that they created the PG-13 rating some almost 40 years ago. So keep that in mind. There are some elements in it that are probably just a bit too extreme for the little ones, but teenagers and up, or parental guidance suggested, of course, maybe 12 and up, preteens and up, should be okay, but use that parental guidance, y'all. But all in all, use the guidance and take your peoples to once again go see one of this year's instant best. The fact that we're talking about staying in touch, staying in tune with your inner child without losing that upon growing older, it made me cry hard. A lot of the movies made me cry hard this weekend, y'all. We had a lot of good hits this weekend. But nevertheless, Wendy is definitely a standout. Do not sleep on this one. I've had people say, how have I missed the preview for this? How have I missed the commercial for this? Quite honestly, I've only seen the commercial on TV once, maybe twice. Every trailer that I've seen about this film has been in the movie theater itself. It doesn't seem like this movie is getting a lot of press. Now, at the Regal last night up at Hoyt's, they do have a coming soon poster for Wendy hanging up. So I'm imagining that Wendy should go into some type of wide release. However, the numbers that it puts up as a limited release movie make the wide release of this even more dependent on the limited release numbers. So I ask very kindly, I posted about this right after on Instagram after I got out of Wendy, stating that it's one of this year's instant best films. Movies like this don't get a lot of support. They don't get a lot of talk about. So please share. I was asking, please share that post. How many shares did that post get? A big fat goose egg. Would it have helped if maybe I put the fucker in meme format? Or maybe if I, made it like a stupid ass joke about the coronavirus going around, which the jokes about themselves are getting even more viral than the virus itself. Come on, y'all. You're spreading all this garbage around. Why don't you spread around something good for the peoples and tell peoples about stuff like this that's playing on the screen? Because I think that this is something that audiences would flock to see if given the opportunity. But until then, this is currently only playing in limited release. As far as I know, in the Northern Virginia area, it's only at the Angelica for the time being. So, if you're not in the Northern Virginia area, or if you're not in the DC metropolitan area, as always, check your IMDb, check your Fandango, find Wendy where it is playing, and be inspired. Cinema. My fellow filmmakers and screenwriters out there. Inspiration lies within Wendy. Especially if your lifelong passion, hence something that your inner child has always wanted to do, filmmaking, screenwriting, acting, things of that sort. If that's your passion, this movie will reignite that flame if you need that pilot light relit inside your soul. Wendy, check it out where you can find it immediately, y'all. Next up on this episode is Real Rush Ticket. Uh-oh. Got a little bit of a satire here. This is the new joint from director Michael Winterbottom. This joint is called Greed. Greed stars Steve Coogan as a self-made millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. The man is rich as fuck, owning a clothing retail empire, England, probably all over the world. Just money flowing out the ass. But all of his gains that he's gotten over his life, well, that's not all non-ill-gotten gains. He stepped on quite a few people to get to where he is. And after a public inquiry, all but just destroys his public image, the man tries throwing this grand birthday party for himself on this Greek island to not only repair his image, but actually to pretty much only repair his image. Get the tarnations off his name and whatnot. As I said a couple moments ago, this is a satire about capitalism and greed and things of that sort. And I want to... Perfect. There's no better way to put this. Greed is a perfect cautionary dramedy about the side effects, for lack of a better term, of vanity and even bullying people along the course of life to get what you want out of it, not caring who you step on or shit on along the way, as long as you're in the end run, as long as you're the one that's getting that top dollar, right? Yeah. Well, this plays very much like a Greek tragicomedy, and there are a lot of warning signs in here about what could happen to you if you let your own self-image and wealth control your life like that, in my honest opinion, the people who should see this movie probably won't. And I say this with the utmost confidence because the people who and I'm talking about the people who are so, they're so obsessed with their own self-image that they're only looking at themselves. They only like looking in the mirror at themselves. They don't like an external source such as a film pretty much telling it like it is and forcing them to take a look at the real themselves within. But aside from that, Steve Coogan holding it down. I don't know if you could have gotten anybody better to play greedy Richard McCready. Isla Fisher's up in it, and you got a shit ton of celebrity cameos up in it. Greed. Another hit in our midst, ladies and gents. This one is also limited release. Only playing at the Angelica in the Northern Virginia area. Everybody else, not in the Northern Virginia area, check your IMDb, check your Fandango. Greed, along with Wayback and Wendy. So far, we've reviewed 3 movies this episode, and so far, these are 3 absolute must-see films, y'all. Check out Greed and take the message of that movie to heart. If it's not something that maybe you need to look at for yourself, maybe you know somebody who might act like some of these assholes that, well, maybe these people aren't all cracked up to be whatnot. You know, are they just putting on a mask for the rest of the world so we can enjoy them, but we don't know the real them? Movies like this, I don't think, get a lot of press because it does, for lack of a better term, expose those who wear masks on a daily basis. But yet I digress. Greed speaks leaps and bounds about this topic, y'all. Go check it the fuck out. Next up on this episode's Real Rush Ticket, let's go to our Thursday night Angelica selection. This one is a new romantic, unromantic, both drama called Hope Gap. And I stuttered a little bit from romantic to unromantic for a reason. And the reason being is because in Hope Gap you have Annette Bening and Bill Nighy starring as a couple. They've been married. They're on the verge of celebrating their 29th wedding anniversary. Bill Nighy's character says, I can't do this anymore, and ups and walks out on the marriage. And this shows not only the effect that this has on Annette Bening's character, but also the effect that this has on their now grown son, played by Josh O'Connor, who we saw last week in Emma. This makes you question some things, but like, how would you react if you, now as a grown adult, found out, and some of y'all watching this, it's 2020. I have heard about some of my friends who later in life, their parents found out, hey, this isn't really working out. Let's go ahead and split. It's for the better. But you don't really know how to take that in until you actually see it happen. So this movie makes you question, how would you, watching this right now, at my age, 37 going on 38, feel if your parents, if after all these years, 30 going on 40, 50 years, all of a sudden decided to call it splits and the aftermath that ensues. Pretty good tale and moral about being upfront and honest about love from the giddy up of a relationship. Because, you know, you got to question, was the love ever there to begin with? Or did we just stay together because of the kid or whatnot? It raises a lot of these questions. However, the ending of the movie just kind of left me hanging. Because, to me, the movie didn't have an ending. it just kind of dropped off. It felt very anticlimactic. But other than that, I did really dig the moral and the message that the movie was trying to send across. And I say romance plus a bit of unromance at the same time, because yes, you are dealing with unromance, the unraveling of a relationship. But at the same time, what else is blooming? What else can bloom? What positivity can come of such a dissolution? And therein lies the key. Hope Gap, another one, playing in limited release. This is also currently playing up at the Angelica. If you're not in the Nova area, you know what to do. IMDb, Fandango. And this is the one this week. Since I felt that it was a bit anticlimactic, this is the one this week that your boy wants to know your thoughts on. So if you take your ass out to go see Hope Gap, let me know what you liked about the movie, maybe what you didn't like about the movie, and we will converse on that in the comment section below. But for the time being, Hope Gap, limited release, find it where you can and check it out. Let your boy know what you thought. Next up on this episode's Real Rush Ticket, we're moving right along here. A little bit of heavier fare to talk about, a little bit of a heavier topic to talk about here. And this movie, I want to call it, well, it's a new release to us. This movie that we're about to talk about here actually premiered at Sundance 2 years ago. This has been, I'm not sure if it's been on the shelf for the last 2 years or what, but this is a 2018 film, now dropping here early 2020. And given the drive that this movie has, it boggles me how it took us this long to see this movie. The movie that I'm about to review for y'all right now is called Burden. Now, Burden tells the true story of Mike Burden, who was a former Klansman from South Carolina, and it tells his tale of how he reformed his hateful ways, but not without facing the scrutiny of his former KKK peers. Now, all this is happening on the heels of the opening, and all this actually happened, the opening of a redneck Ku Klux Klan museum down in Lawrence, South Carolina, that caused even a more major racial rift amongst an already divided community down there in the town of Lawrence. As we have the KKK members pretty much going up against Forrest Whitaker, who's the reverend of a Baptist church down there, who's crusading against the museum and its establishment and all that it stands for. But you got Mike Burden, played awesomely by Garrett Hedlund, stuck in the middle as he's stuck trying to choose which side he's really more devoted to, what he's really more loyal to, and ultimately how love can defeat hate in all ways, every which way imaginable in the end. And that's not even giving anything away. Garrett Hedlund, Forrest Whitaker, Andrea Riseborough, Tom Wilkinson have an amazing cast up in it. Once again, given that this is a 2018 movie, we're just now seeing this in 2020. How does a movie like this stay under the radar for 2 years? And this is, as I've stated in my Instagram check-in for this the other day, this is sadly a tale of the times, even though that this story took place back in the mid-90s. But powerful tale nonetheless. I don't think that it's one that a lot of people know the true story about. And as I like to state here on The Real Rush, with any true story, I recommend that you go into it not knowing, don't read the Wikipedia on it before you go into it, or else you could lose the message, like the strength in the message that the movie is trying to carry with it. And it is a weighty message. And if there was ever a time for such a tale to come out to try to uplift folks and maybe even get the masses to reform some of their ways as well. Now is the time for this type of movie, ladies and gents. I do want to point out, I'm not sure exactly how accurate this information is that was at the very ending credits of Burden, but we're going to state it anyway. Hashtag Rehab Hate. Please visit www.rehabhate.com, because as of 2017, the Redneck Ku Klux Klan Museum is now being reformed. I forget what they said it was being reformed into, but it's something that the whole community can come around to enjoy, something to actually bring people together. For the lack of information on my part, I do apologize. However, if you would like to make a contribution towards the reform of this establishment, and I do believe that if you make like a certain amount of contribution, you can get your name on a brick to be put into the establishment down in Lawrence, South Carolina. All you have to do is visit www.rehabhate.com, hashtag Rehab Hate, and let us rehab hate, ladies and gents. Sadly enough, it takes tales like this to get people to maybe open their eyes to what's going on and try to get them to reform their ways, but just the same way as it took a fucking worldwide life-threatening virus to get people to wash their hands, for God's sakes. Unfortunately, it sometimes takes things like this to hopefully overturn the ugliness of hate in the world. Burden, another one that should have a wider release, but movies like this are not going to get more sight upon it if they don't get more support, y'all. And that is what your boy is here to try to convey to y'all. Burden, not playing everywhere. Limited release. This one, also only playing at the Angelica if you're in the Northern Virginia area. If you're not, IMDb, Fandango, find Burden where it is. Check it out. Tell your peoples about it. Don't just tell you. I say at the end of every episode, hug a motherfucker and tell them about the Real Rush. While that's great, I do appreciate y'all spreading the word of the Real Rush, but more importantly is I would like for y'all to spread the word of these movies that people don't get to hear about. And even when they do pop up on Netflix and Amazon Prime sometime down the line, it's kind of just like, well, I still never heard anything about it. I'm just going to flip right past it. Well, let's keep these stories alive, y'all. Keep the messages rolling. Burden, check that out as soon as possible, y'all. And another one to hopefully inspire and uplift. There are some infuriating moments in it. There were some moments in it that took me back to an instance that I had happened about 20 years ago right here in fucking Prince William City. Almost scene for scene, shot for shot is the scene that happened in the movie. Walking out of a McDonald's out here in Prince William City back in 2000 on my way to my girlfriend's house at the time. And a fucking red truck, two rednecks in it, sped by. And forgive my language here, but they screamed right out at me, "You fucking nigger!" And without even hesitation, I screamed right back, "Fuck you, you fucking rednecks!" And I got to my girlfriend's house. She couldn't figure out why I was mad because I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't know how to talk about it at the time. I was just so upset about it at the time. But you can't beat hate with hate, y'all. You gotta beat hate with love. And this movie conveys that message ever so strongly. Burden, check it out, y'all. Last but most certainly not least, on this episode's Real Rush Ticket, Burden was an unannounced entry for this week's Rush Ticket. We go to our last unannounced Rush entry. This one is called, and this is where the pun that was intended earlier in the episode comes into play. This joint is called Ballon, or Ballon, as is known in Germany, from its native German. This is a German film that tells, once again, another true story about a family who's trying to escape in 1979 from East to Western Germany. They're trying to escape the oppressive regime of the GDR at that time, but you couldn't just simply cross the border at that time. Nah, you could more than likely be arrested, and much, much worse would have happened to you. So they come up with the notion of crossing the border in a hot air balloon. And is the success, is the attempt successful or not? I don't know. Well, I do know now. Once again, this is another one that if you know the true story about it, don't read into it before you go see it, because then it will take away the weight of the movie, the strength of what this movie is conveying. I walked into this movie, and this is another foible of my own. This is a mindset that I have when I do go into a good number of foreign films. Just the way that the synopsis read off about it, it's like, oh, I'm going to go sit into this movie, 2 hours, 15 minutes. It's probably going to be long and drawn out. Everything's going to be subtitled, and it might have bits and pieces of action here and there, right? Walked out of this movie, and it was the complete opposite of what I thought it was going to be going in. So, number one, don't judge a book by its cover or by its movie poster, ladies and gents. This had all the feels of a top-notch domestic blockbuster thriller, but the shit was not made in Hollywood. This was straight out of Berlin. Like, Eazy-E was straight out of Compton. Crazy motherfucker named Easy. And you better hope that the wind stays breezy for these people. Take it easy up in that balloon, y'all. Yeah, edge of your seat all the way. Thomas Kretschmann is up in it. He's the lieutenant colonel that's on the trail of the family trying to make it across the border. He catches, for lack of a better term, pun totally intended, he catches wind of what they're trying to do. He tries to stop their attempt before it happens. But the way that he plays his character in Balloon, y'all, it comes off so much like that of Tommy Lee Jones playing U.S. Marshal Sam Gerard in The Fugitive. And Tommy Lee Jones got an Oscar for that shit. Balloon. Currently playing at Cinema Arts Theater in Fairfax, Virginia. This is another one that came out in 2018. How we're now just catching wind of this, I don't know. But Balloon. Check it where you can find it. Edge of your seat all the way. Once again, if you could just get over that little barrier called subtitles, movies like this make you forget that you're reading a movie for 95% of it, because the action in this joint is that on point, ladies and gents. Between that and Parasite, it's just getting better and better. And that means that foreign movies are starting to become more mainstream here in America. And that is a beautiful fucking thing to see, y'all. Balloon. Once again, playing not everywhere. Currently playing at Cinema Arts Theater if you're in the Northern Virginia area. If you're not, IMDb, Fandango, check this shit out as soon as you can. And that, my friends, wraps it up for episode 76 of The Real Rush right here on YouTube. But not only does it wrap it up, but if you haven't noticed here, ladies and gents, aside from the anticlimacticness, I invented a word right there, of Hope Gap, every single movie on this episode's ticket is a must-see. I can't stress that enough. There are probably going to be people out there, Boop, Jacob, you say that about everything. No, I don't say that about everything. You just don't watch The Real Rush enough to see the movies that I do shit on every once in a while. But every once in a while you do get a rare lineup. But it's very, very rare that you get 6 movies. I'll say 5.5 with the lack of an ending from Hope Gap, alright? So 5.5 movies that are sure not to let your ass down. Get to the theaters, y'all. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Just cover your mouth and wash your hands. That's all the fuck you gotta do. Wash your hands and cover your mouth. Don't sneeze on people. Don't get sneezed on by anybody. You'll be alright. But get your asses in the theater. It's a sad sight the last couple days because of all the fears that are going around. A lot of people don't want to go out, which means that there haven't been a lot of people at the theater the last couple days. Which has been quite nice because having an empty theater all to yourself and just a few sparse people here and there is quite luxurious. But unfortunately, without movies, this show doesn't exist. So don't let the fears rule your lives, ladies and gents. Keep doing your thing. Come out to the theater and see these good quality films, y'all. Because at this time, I like to just give y'all that little reminder that the next third Friday of the month Bandit show is coming your way, March 20th, 7:30 p.m. up at the Stagecoach Theater Company in Ashburn, Virginia. Tickets are already on sale online. $12 online, $15 at the door. But of course, if you go ahead and get your tickets online, use the promo code John, my name, all caps, JOHN, wear that shit the fuck out. You get yourself a discount. Where can you go online to get your discount? You can find your tickets online at stagecoachtc.com/stagecoach-bandits. Once again, that is Stagecoach, T as in Tom, C as in Coach.com/stagecoach-bandits. Come on out, promo code John, all caps, wear that shit the fuck out. Come on out, have yourself a good time, spread laughs, let's spread joy together, y'all. And coming up next week on episode 77 of The Real Rush, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 7 movie weekend coming up. And I say potentially because we'll get to the potential part here in a second. But coming up for y'all on episode 77 of The Real Rush here on YouTube next weekend, we'll have a review for you. The Hunt! Finally! The movie that almost completely got pulled all together because of all the pussy ass snowflakes out there. So hopefully we're getting the movie as it was intended to be seen when it was supposed to be originally released back in September, y'all. I think a lot like Greed, this movie's gonna speak a lot about society that a lot of society just simply doesn't want to fucking face about itself. So I'm finally stoked to see The Hunt. So we'll have that review for y'all next week. We'll also have a review for y'all Bloodshot. Stoked about this. Vin Diesel is looking like he's about to be the next Sly Stallone up in this motherfucker, man. It almost giving me kind of like that Demolition Man feel. And if y'all know me, y'all know Demolition Man is one of my favorite movies of all time. So Bloodshot, can't wait for that shit. I still believe we'll have that movie review for you. And no, it is not the true story of the shirtless ponytailed wonder from The Lost Boys playing the saxophone and the song that he made, I Still Believe. It's not about the song and all that. It doesn't look like it's anything near to that storyline. But we'll be checking it out anyway. My Spy. Now this is where I said that this would be a potential 7 movie weekend because while for the last couple days that's been stated as a new release for next weekend, I went to go check the showtimes earlier today and it was removed from the from the IMDb coming soon section, and now Regal has it listed as coming out on April 17th, but at the same time it still has showtimes listed for this coming weekend. So stay tuned on that one. We may or may not have that reviewed. Hopefully we will have that reviewed because that's already been pushed back way too many times. Been looking forward to that one because it's got my boy Batista in it. We'll also have reviewed for you. We got First Cow dropping. Not First Cow droppings, but dropping next weekend is First Cow. Highly anticipated from A24. We're going to be looking forward to that as well. We'll also have a review for you. The Burnt Orange Heresy. That shit looks magnificent. It's got Donald Sutherland up in it, but you also have a rare acting turn from Mick Jagger. You don't see him in an acting role all that often, but when he does, it's gonna be some shit, y'all. Burnt Orange Heresy, looking forward to that one. And last but most certainly not least, Come As You Are. looking for another weekend that might be, and let's knock on the wood here. Let's not jinx ourselves, but we could have another hitful weekend for y'all. Episode 77 of The Real Rush right here on YouTube. But until then, y'all, as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any shit like that, please feel free to go ahead and type those on to the YouTube page where you're reviewing this week's episode right here, right now. To everybody who has subscribed to The Real Rush right here on YouTube thus far, thank you for having done so. If you haven't done so yet, what the hell are you waiting for? You know you want to be the first to know when your boy drops a new episode. And don't forget, love. Let's spread love, ladies and gents. Everybody makes it so easy to, as I stated earlier in the episode, some dumbass meme comes on social media or some stupid ass joke about the fucking virus that's going around or whatever dumbass hot topic is going around these days. That shit seems to be able to spread like wildfire. If y'all can spread that shit that easily, then I don't see why it's so hard to spread love these days, ladies and gents. So please, spread love. And at the same time, spread the word of The Real Rush. So yes, hug a motherfucker and let him know about The Real Rush. Let him know that you know a guy who reviews movies for a living and has been doing so all his life with a passion. So he might just know what the hell he's talking about. But not only does your boy do the new releases for this week, but the great thing about The Real Rush is that no episode of The Real Rush has an expiration date. So any movie that you want to know what your boys thought of, maybe you saw something come out in the theater a year ago, you weren't able to make it out, but now it's up on Netflix or Amazon Prime or what have you, starting some shit, and you want to know what your boy thought about it, and get a good honest to God review on the joint, all you gotta do is go up to the YouTube search bar at the top of the page here and type in quotation marks The Real Rush, followed by, outside of quotation marks, the title of the movie that you're looking for, and then boom, you got yourself an instant movie review on demand for you, because your boy J-Dub and The Real Rush got your asses covered for life, son! And as always, you can follow your boy on Instagram for my live movie check-ins as they occur, and you can follow your boy at J-Dub Champion, hashtag The Real Rush. And for The Real Rush, ladies and gents, thank you for joining us for episode 76 right here on YouTube. Your boy's gonna go chill the fuck out, watch some Elimination Shame of the Night, enjoy yourselves at the movies, but also chill the hell out at the movies, y'all. Ain't no need to be doing all the yitting and the yatting and the chitting and chatting and the looking at the smartphones and even checking the smartwatch and all that bright ass shit. Why don't you go ahead, keep the lips shut for 2 hours, just put the phones away, turn the brightness all the way down, put them shits on vibrate if necessary, but preferably on mute. Even turn the smart watches off for 2 hours, because I guarantee that any conversations, any texts, and even the time, all that shit will be waiting for you after the movie's all said and done. And, of course, as I stated already, enjoy yourselves while you're at the movies, ladies and gents. Have fun, y'all. Love J-Dub. And we'll see you next weekend. Peace.